Hi everybody. We're going to read the Three Little Javelinas, which is based on a favorite tale, a folk tale of the Three Little Pigs. And this is set in the Sonoran Desert. So here we go. Once upon a time, way out in the desert, there were three little javelinas. Javelinas are wild, hairy, southwestern cousins of pigs. Their heads were hairy, their backs were hairy, and their bony legs all the way down to their little hard hooves were very hairy. But their snouts were soft and pink. One day, the three little javelinas trotted away to seek their fortunes. In this hot, dry land, the sky was almost always blue. Steep purple mountains looked down on the desert where the cactus forest grew. And soon the little javelinas came to a spot where the path divided and each one went a different way. The first javelina wandered lazily along. He didn't see a dust storm whirling across the desert until it caught him. The whirlwind blew away and left the first little javelina sitting in a heap of tumbleweeds. Brushing himself off, he said, "Well, I'll build a house with him." And in no time at all, he did. Here he is. Number 1 Tumbleweed Avenue, right on his mailbox. Then along came a coyote. He ran through the desert so quickly and so quietly that he was almost invisible. In fact, that was the only one of Coyote's many magical tricks. He laughed when he saw the tumbleweed house and smelled that javelina inside. A tender, juicy piggy, he thought. Coyote was tired of eating mice and rabbits. You have to look very carefully. He's hidden right down here. He called out sweetly, "Little pig, little pig, let me come in." And the first javelina shouted, "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin." He had a lot of hair on his chinny chin chin. "Fine, then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." And he did huff and he puffed and he blew that little tumbleweed house away. But in all the hullabaloo, the first little javelina escaped and went looking for his brother and sister. Coyote, who was very sneaky, tiptoed along behind. The second little javelina walked for miles among giant cactus plants called saguaros. They held their ripe red fruit high in the sky, but they made almost no shade. And the little javelina grew very hot, and then he came upon a Native American woman who was gathering sticks from inside a dried up cactus. She planned to use these long sticks called saguaro ribs to knock down the sweet cactus fruit. The second little javelina said, "Ooh, please, may I have some sticks to build a house?" "How?" she said, which means yes in the language of the desert people. When he was finished building his house, he lay down in the shade, and then his brother arrived, panting from the heat, and the second little javelina moved over and made a place for him. "Aw, that's nice." Pretty soon, though, That coyote found the saguaro rib house, and he used his magic to make his voice sound like another javelina's. Little pig, let me come in, he called. But the little javelinas were suspicious, and the second one cried, No, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Ah, thought Coyote, I'm going to have to eat you and your hair. Then Coyote smiled, showing all of his sharp teeth, and he said, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. So he huffed and he puffed, and all the saguaro ribs came tumbling down. But the two little javelinas escaped into the desert, still not discouraged. Coyote followed. Sometimes his magic did fail, but then that coyote usually came up with another trick. Can you find Coyote hiding? The third little javelina trotted through the beautiful palo verde trees with green trunks and yellow flowers. She saw a snake sliding by, smooth as oil, and a hawk floated round and round above her. Then she came to a place where a man was making adobe bricks from mud and straw. The bricks lay on the ground, baking in the hot sun, and the third little javelina thought for a moment and said, Excuse me, may I please have a few adobes to build a house? And the man said, Sí? Yes, in Spanish, and in the brickmaker's language. So the third javelina built her a solid little adobe house, cool in the summer, warm in the winter. And when her brothers found her, she welcomed them in and locked that door quickly behind them. Coyote followed their trail. Look at her house. It's very fancy. Little pig, let me come in. The coyote called out. He had found those javelinas. And those three little javelinas looked out that window, and this time Coyote pretended to be very old and weak, with no teeth and a sore paw. But they were not fooled. Nope, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin, called back the third little javelina. Oh, fine. Then I'm gonna huff, and I'm gonna puff, and I'm gonna blow your house in, said the coyote, and he grinned, thinking of the wild pig dinner that was to come. And the little javelina, well, she put her hands on her hips and she said, just try it. So Coyote, well, he huffed and he puffed, but the adobe bricks did not budge. And again, Coyote tried, I huff and I puff and I blow your house in. The three little javelinas covered their hairy ears, but nothing happened. And the javelinas, well, they peeked out that window. The tip of Coyote's raggedy tail whisked right past their noses. He was now climbing up onto the tin roof. Next, Coyote used his magic to make himself very skinny. The stovepipe, gasped the little third javelina. Quickly, she lighted a fire right inside her wood stove. Ooh, what a feast it will be, Coyote said to himself, and he squeezed into that stovepipe. I think I'll eat them with red hot chili sauce. And then there was a whoosh and a sizzle. 'Sizzle!' 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 ' what do you think happened? Then the three little javelinas heard an amazing noise. It was not a bark. It was not a cackle. It was not a howl. It was not a scream. It was all of these sounds together. Yip, 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 yoo! And away ran a puff of smoke shaped like a coyote. The three little javelinas lived happily ever after in the little adobe house. And if you ever hear Coyote's voice way out in the desert at night, well, you know what he's remembering. Can you guys make the sound of a coyote howling?